Hello and welcome to episode 21 of the Aha Moment. This is our final episode of season 1, which is hard to believe.
I know.
feel like we just started this.
I know. It's like we just started.
It is. So here we are at the end of the season. It is New Year's Eve, and we're going to do a countdown in true New Year's Eve fashion.
Yes.
My co-host Elizabeth Sapola and I'm Amanda Kaczurka. We are team members here at Decision Associates, and we are going to be sharing our top 6-ish. We were generous, is what ultimately happened, because it's hard when you've got 21 episodes or 20 episodes to pick from.
Right.
To pick 6 of them that you want to highlight at the end of the season. So we're going to sprinkle some others here and there as we
have some
chat.
honorable mentions. These are like our babies.
Yes, true. So we're going to talk a little bit about the season and some great aha moments that came from it.
Indeed, we are.
Yes. So let's kick it off. So early on in the season, one of the things that we talked about, of course, was the aha moments that we have in the consulting work that we do here at Decision Associates. And so one of our early episodes, it was episode 2, came on the heels of my attendance at the SHRM Talent Conference. It's an annual conference, the Society for Human Resource Management, a conference that I attend every year, and always has wonderful nuggets of information that I pick up by attending that.
Which, sidebar, just a little shout out to that conference. Anyone, even if you're not working in HR, anyone in any organizational leadership capacity can really get a lot, and they have virtual attendance options as well.
Yes, definitely. Highly recommend it. And so a few different things came through the conference this year, loud and clear. First of all, I think sort of 2 pieces, training and development, and also the role that plays in career pathing for the purpose of retaining employees, but also attracting employees.
Absolutely.
So there was talk about, how do you design development programs that are, really impactful and that engage the learners effectively. And we actually just, if you listen to our most recent episode 20, we interviewed Cassie Labori, who is a wonderful, wonderful trainer of trainers, if you will, a connection strategist, she calls herself, which I love. But she talked about the importance of taking a people-focused approach to training versus a content-focused approach when you're first starting to, figure out what does this training need to be and what does it need to look like.
Exactly. And one of the things that Cassie spoke about during that episode, which was also, if we go way, way back to our first or second episode when we recapped the SHRM Talent Conference, is how important it is as a trainer, as a manager, if you're training a group of people, to make sure that, sure, you want to know what you're covering. You have to prepare for that. However, rather than looking at it like you have to get through a checklist of topics that you need to get through, think of how do they need to hear it and how can I connect with them and create an environment where they're comfortable asking questions, making mistakes if it's the type of learning experience where they get to roll their sleeves up and get their hands dirty with it. But yes, training, development, career pathing, and really giving employees pathways to advance themselves, very, very critical.
Yes, absolutely. And something you just said that I want to highlight, making sure that people are in an environment where they feel comfortable asking questions. This was another massive, massive topic at SHRM Talent this year, which was this concept, and we're hearing a lot more of psychological safety.
Yes. And
interestingly enough, I recently completed a trauma-informed workforce practitioner certification.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And one of the things that we talked about in that program quite a lot was psychological safety. And there was a really wonderful TED Talk, TEDx actually, from a woman named Amy Edmondson. And I would highly recommend you look it up. It's on YouTube. It's through the Harvard Graduate School of Education TEDx series, where she talks about psychological safety. And it's so important to not just in the environment of training to create a psychologically safe workplace, but in the workplace overall.
Absolutely.
Creating an environment where employees feel comfortable raising concerns and asking questions and asking for clarification, or calling out when they see something that, hey, I think this could cause problems if we go down this path later. Or, hey, I don't think this was done quite right. I think we need to come back and revisit it and do it over again.
Right.
Creating spaces where they're comfortable doing that.
Absolutely. And one thing that all of our listeners can agree to is that we don't want people in our organization walking around feeling like something isn't quite right, but frightened to say something.
Correct.
Because we know that leads to many other issues, whether it be retention, employee relations issues, good old-fashioned word, morale, aka toxic culture, which is probably a really good segue.
It's a great segue, actually.
Did you like how I did that?
I did. to the next episode in our countdown, which was one of my personal favorites, episode number 5, which was with a guest who we have worked with for years. Her name is Wendy Baum. She's the Chief Culture Officer for Networking Technologies.
Some might say she's the bomb.
You might.
Yes.
You might say that. Terrible pun. So Wendy is the first person that I've worked with in my career that has actually had a Chief Culture Officer title, which I think is super cool. And so Wendy's episode, we were talking about, is your culture toxic?
Yes.
And how do you know if it's toxic? And if you find out that it is, what do you then do about it? So one of the first things we talked about in that episode was, how do you quantify culture?
Right.
You hear a lot of times from leaders in organizations, oh, you can't really effectively measure or quantify culture.
No, a lot of organizations, as we covered in that particular episode, just as a recap for our listeners today, a lot of organizations do what we call engagement surveys, and they're real proud of that, and they'll Google and or look up on ChatGPT questions to put in a engagement survey, and then what? Right? They don't know what to do with it. So they'll ask all these questions.
But they've got really good questions.
And they're really well worded, I might add.
Yeah.
The only thing is how you roll it out. What do you do with the responses? How do you turn it into usable data? And then how do you report back to the employees and communicate transparently what the results were and then involve them in doing something about it? All those things I just rattled off, 9 times out of 10 in organizations, they don't exist, right?
No.
So then we know that good intentions of trying to understand how employees are feeling end up actually doing more damage than good. So there are ways to quantify your culture. There are certain ways that you can ask very specific questions, and with agree, disagree, you can compare responses of, to agree or disagree for statements based upon respondent groups. You can see how employees feel versus contractors versus people in leadership positions. You can, that disparity in and of itself is a data point that you can work with. And of course, you always want to have a couple open-ended questions, and even just the percentage of completion for participants, that in and of itself is a huge, huge data point.
Absolutely. And also communicating around, how the responses will be used and what you're going to do with them, because too many times organizations ask their teams for feedback and then, to your point just a few minutes ago, do absolutely nothing with it. So then what is the likelihood of the employees the next time you come knocking for their feedback to give it?
Right.
It's not going to happen.
No, definitely not.
So that, and then there's also the concept of anonymity, which I think we talked a little bit about in the podcast as well, and making sure, if ideally you engage with a third-party provider to provide that survey service, because then you're in a position where you're putting a little bit of a barrier between you as a leader of the organization and the raw data of the survey. So you're putting yourself in a position where you can truly say and be truthful that this is completely anonymous. I don't have access to the raw data. We're getting the report. So it encourages people to be more honest.
It does. And one other thing that we talked about about, and I think it's a perfect time of year to talk about again from this episode 5, I believe it was, about culture with Wendy Baum, is that the early indicators of a struggling culture, apathy is one early indicator, people no longer bringing forth ideas, suggestions, or being responsive or offering their own authentic reactions when ideas are brought forward to them. That's another early indicator. Holiday season. We're just wrapping up holiday season right now. Of course, if you see a decline in participation at workplace gatherings or holiday functions, things of that nature, less laughter around the office. These are actual visible, observable signs, early warning signs of a culture that needs some serious attention.
Absolutely. So moving to our next episode that we wanted to talk about, episode 10 was one that I hosted, and I had a couple of guests join me from our team here at DA. I had Terry Kashali and Bill Greenleaf talking a little bit about building effective sales strategy. And this was one that I found they just had a lot of really good nuggets that they shared throughout the episode. And so a couple of things that really stood out to me, talking about a topic that I really enjoy, which is, building a sales strategy that's based on self-awareness of your sales team and what their strengths are. And that's something that we talk about a lot, which is
all the time,
not specific to a sales team. Really, you should do that across your entire organization, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So starting from that point of understanding what are this particular salesperson's strengths and, how do we allow them to leverage those in a way to represent the organization and go out and meet with potential customers or clients and, have that conversation and build the relationship, not focused on a hard sell right out of the gate. Building the meaningful relationships that ultimately result in longer term engagements.
Absolutely.
Customer alignment as well, understanding, are we going after the right people and what are the needs that they have and how are we addressing those, instead of that approach that is, really old school, frankly, at this point of, hey, we've got this great service, come check it out.
Exactly.
Or, hey, we've got this great product, here's why you should buy it. Doing your homework and having the conversations around understanding what the needs are, what the pain points are, and how what you're offering addresses it.
And also making sure, as far as customer alignment, that the customers you're going for are aligned with the type of customers you want.
Absolutely.
And really defining what makes a good customer, as we like to call it, a green light or a red flag customer.
Yeah, absolutely. An incredibly important exercise. Having intentional touch point focus over volume. So having the relationship depth be the focus over, let's just kind of to the point you just made, let's focus on getting the right customers and the types of customers that we know are going to be most beneficial and most benefited by what we're offering, because those engagements are going to be, and those relationships are going to be much longer and much more productive on both sides. Versus just kind of scraping at anything and everything you can get your hands on.
Yes, absolutely. You might get some revenue in the door in the immediate future and the here and now, but you're going to end up losing a lot more. If you
oh my gosh.
Just start grasping at anything.
Yes, we talked about that, is the cost of bad relationships and what that ultimately does to an organization.
Absolutely.
The benefit also of mapping your customer journey, understanding what the experience is, what your funnel looks like, what the touch points are throughout that, what information is needed, and really being intentional about how you build your customer's journey, and putting a lot of time and effort, and our favorite word, intention, into that process as well.
Yes. And sometimes I'm throwing down the gauntlet to challenge my co-host right now. We're going to see how crafty we can be with segues from one to the next. So sometimes with sales, you do need to cross state lines. And so this brings us to
That was a
This brings us to
shaky segue at best.
hey, it got your attention.
It did.
It brings us to episode 15.
It does.
Not so ironically, what did we talk about during that episode?
Oh, well, Elizabeth, we talked about crossing state lines.
Hot diggity dog.
Look at that. Yeah, we did. We talked with Jim O'Connor, who is a wonderful, wonderful attorney with the firm of Phillips Lytle in Buffalo, New York. And Jim joined us, and his window washer did as well.
Jim and his window washer.
If you watched that episode, if you haven't, I highly recommend you do, because the content's great, but also because there was a really funny moment where a window washer just appeared seemingly out of nowhere outside.
And Jim had
Jim's
no
window.
idea.
No idea. Poor guy. And we're sitting there laughing, and he's like, "Why are they laughing at me? Not you, Jim, just the window washer." So anyway, so what we actually talked to Jim about was when you have organizations, and we run into this a lot being a Pennsylvania-based business ourselves. We have clients who are out of state. We have clients who have employees who are out of state, especially in New York. Happens all the time because Erie, geographic lesson for everybody real quick if you're not familiar where Erie is. We are right on Lake Erie and very, very close to the border of New York State.
Right. So Erie is in northwestern Pennsylvania.
The chimney of the state, if you will.
Yes, the chimney of the state. And western New York State butts up right against
Yes,
it.
very close. So we do work with a lot of organizations who have both for-profit and nonprofit who have employees in New York State. And this is a topic I know that's very near and dear to your heart, Elizabeth, that you've done a lot of work with clients on over the years in helping them identify where they are out of compliance potentially.
Yes. So what we talked to Jim about and what he gave a lot of specific examples of, and so we highly, highly recommend if you are listening to this episode today and you have any employee whatsoever who works, in New York State, even if they work from home and their home is in New York State, even if that counts, even if they work from home once a month, they're a New York State employee. So it's something that you're going to want to go back and listen to. But what is really, really important is that you consult with an attorney. And what we see a lot of our clients do who they don't know what they don't know. So they'll consult with an attorney that's based here in Pennsylvania, and who they know and trust, and as they should. And also the Pennsylvania attorney isn't as well-versed in New York State labor and employment law, which for those of you who don't know, New York State, California are the two most complex states in the entire United States within which to have employees and within which to do business because of all the legal complexities as well as the penalties and the degree to which the state government likes to lay the hammer down on employers who are not compliant. So it's a state that, has a lot of different complexities, laws to navigate. So in this case, what you don't know can hurt you. So.
Absolutely. It truly went, just going through that episode in preparation for this one, just reminded me of that adage, if you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail.
Yes, definitely.
And in this case, failure can be extremely expensive.
Very expensive.
And potentially extremely detrimental to the longevity of your business.
Absolutely. And not just expensive and detrimental from a financial perspective, but also from a reputational perspective.
Absolutely. Yeah, no question. So and Jim made the point several times throughout the episode, because it's one of those that you really can't drive home enough. If you are thinking of eventually hiring employees in New York and you don't have them yet, still consult an attorney. Get everything lined up and in compliance ahead of time. So then that transition, when you ultimately do hire that first New York-based employee or California-based employee, whatever the case may be, that you're ready to go.
Are you saying that they should have a strategy developed? Because that leads me to think of the next episode we wanted to highlight. And that episode was from episode 7. And we sat down with two of our colleagues.
We did.
Mike Tellers, Aaron Phillips, and they had a whole lot to say about the importance of a succession strategy.
Yes, they sure did. That's something that we work a lot with here at Decision Associates. And one of the favorite, and I think actually Mike mentioned it in episode 19 that we did recently with about M&A, mergers and acquisitions, is make succession planning present tense. It's like one of my favorite little sound bites from both of those episodes. I think it came through in both. We talked about at length giving yourself a longer runway than you think you need. 5 years was what was thrown out, the number that was thrown out. Because, and we hear it all the time, really only about 25% of business exits, happen the way that the owner wanted it to.
Right.
And
planned.
Right, had planned for it to go. So that's why it's so crucial to give yourself that longer runway. And I think you made the point also, I don't remember which episode it was in, the succession or M&A, but
either way, it was probably a really good point.
it was about what's the worst that can happen if you plan ahead. You plan 5 years and then you say, oh, you know what? I'm not quite ready to exit. Okay. So you table the plan and you execute on it later.
You'd rather be over-prepared than under-prepared.
1,000%. Yeah, especially in that situation. So and then there's also the concept of, risk that's associated with exiting the business as far as, disruption to the team and the culture. And so making sure that you factor in preparedness for that into your exit plans as well.
There will always be disruption. It's never going to go as smoothly as you hope it will.
Because nothing's perfect. Not sure if anybody realized this.
Nothing is perfect.
Ever.
So perfection is what you were thinking of for your New Year's resolution. We encourage you to search for something else.
Yeah. It's going to be a real frustrating year for you. I can assure you.
It will be, for sure.
So we have our final of the original 6.
Come on, do a creative one.
Yeah, I'm not as good at that as you are.
Okay.
I'm sorry. So we are going to talk about, it's team related, sort of, culture related, because the candidate experience is a direct reflection of your culture. And that, in fact, is what we covered in episode 9.
Yes.
With our friends Janine and Amber. Janine is the human resources director for Erie's Manufacturing.
Yes.
Their USA operations. And Amber Till is the communications director for Northwestern Rural Electric Cooperative.
Yes.
I'm real proud of myself for making, normally I stumble over that because it's a little bit of a tongue twister. So I'm real proud of myself for doing that just now. So Janine and Amber, full disclosure, we talked about in the episode, they were both candidates that we hired to those positions that they're currently in through our recruitment process. But we brought them in because they've both held roles other places where they've been responsible for hiring people.
Absolutely.
And so we talked a little bit about the importance of the candidate experience through the hiring process and how that is a direct reflection of the organization's culture and why it's so important.
And one of the things we talked about is how important it is to set and manage expectations with candidates.
Yes.
And to communicate early and often, and not to let more than 24 hours go by between touch points with candidates, which I know to many of you listening to today's podcast, you might be thinking, that's unrealistic. What's your response to that?
It's not. First of all, it's not with and I think this is an area where technology can be so helpful.
Absolutely.
We leverage an applicant tracking system that allows us to, easily email candidates and let them know about their status moving forward in the process. And we're communicative at every verbal touch point we have with them about what next steps look like and what the time frame is. And we hold to that. And of course, there are always exceptions where something comes up, a client's not available.
We don't get an answer back from them.
Yeah, we have to reschedule for some reason. Of course, that happens, but you really cannot over communicate through this process.
No, definitely not.
Please get back to your candidates. We talked about that quite a bit.
And if you're someone who has been working somewhere and you're not pleased with how they don't communicate in the way that they ought to, and it's causing you to want to look for something else, well, the next episode we're going to be featuring just might help you.
This is our honorable mention episode because really I just wanted to feature 7 episodes, and
she has a thing with numbers.
I had a problem trying to come up with the episodes we were going to feature, because this one I really liked as well, and not just because it was a direct explanation of a situation that happened with me.
Right.
And in fact, how I ended up at Decision Associates. So I sat down for episode 4 with the owner of Decision Associates, Aaron Phillips, and we talked about this process that he has taken many, many people through, and that is a 7-step process for securing your next position. And a few things that I want to highlight from that episode is that, first of all, it's really designed to make the job search process feel approachable instead of overwhelming. And the thing that I like about it is that it's focused on connection, not applications.
Right.
Applications are part of it for sure. You've got to apply. It's kind of like, there's a joke that my husband tells all the time about a man who really wanted to win the lottery and just kept hoping and hoping and praying and saying, why can't I win the lottery? And God came down and said, buy a ticket. Same situation here. You've got to apply. That's part of it, sure.
Right.
But there's also the connection part and leveraging the relationships you have and not having conversations with people saying, hey, what jobs might you be hiring for? Or do you have anything open that I could apply for? Who else should I be talking to? I'm looking for a position. Here's what I'm looking for. Here's what my skill set is. Who else should I be talking to? And ask for an introduction,
right? Not
the opening.
Exactly. You're not asking people, find me a job.
Yeah,
that's
not a good
saying.
look.
It's not a thirsty look, and you don't want that,
nope,
right?
It's not good.
Definitely not.
Yeah. So that, and then also, it really emphasizes considering yourself in different but related roles or industries from what you've been doing. It's broadening your horizons a bit and looking at what might be possible. And that's where we talked about my experience, because I had very limited recruitment experience when I came to DA. But I was willing to learn.
Right.
And, I told Aaron, I was very upfront. I said, hey, this is not something I've really done a whole lot of. I've seen it through my family business, but I don't really know what I'm doing here. And he said, that's okay. We can teach you. So having that mindset with yourself, because I think a lot of times we tend to, we see this especially with women, if we don't check every single box,
we count ourselves out.
So broadening your horizons a bit on what you're looking for and what you could eventually see yourself doing as a career.
Absolutely.
And then the last part of that process that I love is practice interviewing. And this is one that I think if you're not used to doing can be tough. Because there's an awkwardness to it for sure, initially when you start. But, having a Zoom call with yourself and recording it and recording yourself responding to some of these questions. So you can not only listen to what you're saying, but also looking at your body language. Am I doing anything with my face that, doesn't match what I'm saying? Is my body language communicating something that I'm not intending to? Just being aware of how you present yourself, in addition to how you answer the questions, is really helpful and is ultimately going to make you a stronger interviewer.
And for those who might just not be able to get over the hurdle of, or the thought of sitting by yourself, recording yourself, talking to yourself, ask a friend.
Absolutely.
Ask your spouse.
Yep. So that brings us to the end of season 1.
Yes.
So that was our 6, technically probably 9 episode review. It's fine. Who was counting?
And
Nobody.
there's a word that is a common theme.
It is.
Throughout all of these. And it's also a word that describes what I would hope all of you who are listening, who are married, I know we both have significant others that we're married to. I hope you applied this same logic, and that word is intentionality.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Intentionality is very important. It's woven through every single episode we chose in our top list.
It is. It's everything from, if you want better culture, if you want more successful hiring, if you want better retention of your employees, better sales, better compliance, better succession, you have to be intentional about the work that you're putting into all of that. And you have to, consider all the different elements and look at the bigger picture simultaneously. And that's tricky for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
So,
and also a hope, a dream, and a wish is not a plan.
No, certainly not.
So be intentional about identifying what it is you would like to be different in your life, whatever aspect it may be. And this is great timely advice.
It really is.
For the start of a new year, right? Professionally, personally, whatever it may be.
Yes.
Identify what it is you would really like to be different. And then ask yourself, what are the top 3 most important decisions I need to make next in order to bring me closer to that? And then put a plan in place to intentionally make those decisions.
Yes. And find yourself an accountability partner.
Yes.
Communicate, hey, this is what I want to be working on to someone, whether it's your spouse, a coworker, your supervisor, a professional, another friend or professional connection that you know. Having that accountability partner really helps as well.
Right. Because the worst thing you can do is to say, here's where I'm at. I want to leave my position, right? Well, the next position I want to ultimately be a president of a company. And right now you're a manager, director. Why don't we figure out what's the best incremental step I need to take to get me closer to that?
Yep.
And make plans intentionally according to that, because otherwise we're going to become frustrated and then give up
and abandon our goal.
Yes. And we don't want that.
And then it's 2 weeks into January, you're like, oh man.
Yeah. Pass me another slice of pizza.
Right.
Exactly.
It happens.
Well,
so
thank you.
That brings us to the end of our episode. So huge thank you to our listeners for tuning in for all of these episodes this season. I've had a blast.
Definitely.
This has been really fun for me, and we've really enjoyed meeting some great people and sharing their stories and hearing the nuggets that they have to share.
We have. And for those of you who have been with us from day one, thank you so much. We appreciate it for, walking alongside us as we're learning how to navigate this world of producing and recording and releasing and promoting a podcast. We already have some ideas in place for 2026. And when is the next episode going to be?
Yes. So it's going to be launching it'll be the first full week of January, or second full week of January, the 14th.
Great.
Is when season 2 will launch. So definitely stay tuned for that. And thank you again for tuning in to the Aha Moment from Decision Associates. You can find us on our website, decisionassociates.net. We are also on Facebook and LinkedIn as Decision Associates. And thank you, and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year.